Scientists have found abnormalities in some butterflies collected near Fukushima. It's the first time such physiological damage has been observed in the area around the nuclear plant that was hit by last year's tsunami. Researchers have gathered 144 adult pale grass blue butterflies in and around the fallout zone in Fukushima Prefecture. Abnormalities such as damaged eyes and smaller wings were found in roughly 12% of the insects collected. Hidden cameras buried deep in an Indonesian national park have snapped images of 7 critically endangered Sumatran rhinos. The rhinos haven't been seen in more than a quarter of a century, and conservationists had feared the Sumatran was extinct. But 6 females and 1 male rhino are now known to live in the Mount Luzur National Park, which is on the northern tip of Sumatra. And Spain is facing its worst wildfires in a decade. But firefighting budgets have been slashed by up to a half as part of the drive to cut public spending, making it extremely difficult for crews to stop the blaze from spreading. Spain is pushing through austerity measures to cut some 65 billion euros from its deficit in 2 years in an effort to avoid a full-scale sovereign bailout.
That was Pavel Schrei with the Eco News. We're turning our attention now to solar power. Germany is a global leader in the production of solar technology, but the industry is in crisis. In our next report, Richard Fuchs asks if the sun is setting on German solar research.
Ralf Poy is standing in front of a pilot solar cell production facility and likes what he hears and sees. Machines humming, laser beams flashing, and shimmering blue solar cell modules rolling off the assembly line. Poy is director of Silicon Solar Cell Technology at the Fraunhofer Institute for Solar Energy Systems in Freiburg. He and his 200 employees are busy further enhancing solar cell technology, now a global standard. Their goal is to increase the efficiency of silicon solar cells from 18% today to more than 20% in the future. Higher efficiency translates into lower cost for electricity generated with solar cells. The Fraunhofer researchers still hold the world efficiency record for this type of solar cell, but to remain at the top requires continued research. That means not only increasing the efficiency of solar cells, but also reducing their material costs in production. Poy is searching for cost-efficient alternatives to keep solar cell production made in Germany globally competitive.
Bei der jetzigen Situation kommen noch relativ große Mengen.
Today, large amounts of silver are used to create contact between solar cells. One of our major efforts is to reduce the use of silver through substitutes such as copper or aluminium.
Von Silber durch Kupfer oder Aluminium.
Poy and his team would prefer to test their innovations directly with solar cell and module manufacturers. That was possible during the solar boom. Numerous German manufacturers helped finance research back then. The crisis changed that. In addition, Chinese rivals are flooding the market with low-cost solar cells and modules. Numerous mid-size and even some large German solar companies are now struggling for survival. Many have gone bust. As a result, researchers like Poy now face financial restraints with a number of projects as their industry partners reduce their funding or pull out completely. Poy alone has lost about 1/5 of his industry financing.
Unsere Arbeiten führen wir jetzt verstärkt mit Anlagen und Materialien.
We're now working closely with equipment and materials manufacturers and trying to compensate our losses through more publicly funded projects. The current situation in the photovoltaic industry is particularly critical due to its many years of intensive growth.
Kritisch ist aufgrund des langjährigen intensiven Wachstums.
The abrupt end to the solar boom is also felt in the neighboring factory hall, which is dark and quiet. Only an electronic beeping can be heard. Harry Worth and his 130 employees test finished photovoltaic modules here for reliability and their life cycle.
Dann machen wir einen LVT-Test in 3 Sekunden. 3, 2, 1, Start.
Measurement instruments and solar modules are scattered around. Protective layers of solar cells must remain sealed for 30 years, withstanding heat, cold, moisture, and particles. During the solar boom, Worth received one industry contract after another to develop and test modules that could sustain these dangers and to certify those that pass. Now the projects are dropping off on a weekly basis. That is particularly painful for Worth, who receives up to 75% of his research funds directly from industry.
Wir haben viele unserer wichtigen Kunden.
We have lost many of our key customers through bankruptcy. The economic situation with many of our other customers is such that they have little or no money for research.
für externe Forschung und Entwicklung zur Verfügung stehen.
Wirth still doesn't think he will need to reduce his staff. Nevertheless, the researcher expects at least half of his business to disappear in a few years, and as project manager, he will need to find an adequate replacement.
Wir werden lernen müssen, dass Kunden nicht
We will need to learn how to cope with customers no longer ringing our doorbell. We will need to approach them and especially find new customers for our research and measurement services.
und Prüfdienstleistungen für sie anzubieten.
Fraunhofer director Eike Weber is concerned. He is worried about Germany possibly losing its global lead in solar research. For Weber, continuing to deliver innovative ideas to German companies to keep them competitive is one goal. Finding new customers, such as material and equipment manufacturers, is another. Both are necessary, as about half of Weber's 73 million euro budget is financed by the solar industry.
When in the past Chinese companies have approached us, we have said that we will not share our core expertise in developing lower cost efficient solar cells directly with a Chinese company that is only present in China.
Research financed by German taxpayers must create jobs and value in Germany, Weber maintains. He is looking to other industry partners, particularly German manufacturers of solar engineering equipment. They have survived the crisis fairly well so far. Every second solar cell in the world is now manufactured by a German-made machine.
My fear is that if Germany should someday have no photovoltaic manufacturers at all, the equipment makers may be forced to follow their customers. Chinese manufacturers could say, if you want to do business with us, you need to manufacture here, so that we have shorter distances to provide parts and offer maintenance.
Weber knows he needs to work with makers of solar production equipment to help them stay competitive. The recent insolvency of Centrotherm, Germany's first mid-sized solar equipment manufacturer to go under, is a warning. For Weber, the search for the right course for German solar research has begun.
Thank you to Richard Fuchs for that report. The English version was read by John.